All right, yo. So let's talk about the four major trading sessions within the foreign exchange market. And then also if there is a best time to be trading Forex, right? Is there an ideal time to be executing buy and sell orders that will, be the most favorable for you in terms of winning that trade? All right, so before we get into that, I do want to cover a couple of key terms that I believe will be helpful in your understanding of the different times to be trading Forex. And one of them being volatility. That's a term that you'll hear tossed around a lot within this industry. And it basically just refers to how quickly price is moving in one direction or the other. Is it a high volatility market where price is moving rapidly, or is it a sluggish market where price is moving pretty slow? All right, so another term that you'll hear tossed around a lot as well is liquidity, or whether or not a market is liquid or illiquid. And this basically just refers to the amount of market participants in the market, right? The amount of people executing buy and sell orders, right? So if a market is very liquid, right, and it's a great thing about the foreign exchange market is that it is a pretty liquid market. That means that your order, your buy order or your sell order will be fulfilled, almost instantaneously, right? Your transaction will be processed by the broker very quickly. And that is because, for every buyer, there needs to be a seller, to fulfill that order, right? For every winner, there needs to be a loser. And that's how the Forex market works, right? So these are a couple of terms that I do want to get a little bit in depth into in future lessons, but I did want to provide a brief overview since we will be discussing the different types of trading sessions. Now, another term that you'll hear tossed around a lot is volume, and basically that just refers to the size of these orders that market participants are executing, right? Are they executing, huge orders in the market, or is it a low volume market where the orders are relatively low? All right, so let's talk about the four major trading sessions within the foreign exchange market. And so here I have a chart popped up with those four different sessions and the time frame in which they actually occur, right? So we start off on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern time with the Sydney session, right? So these times are in Eastern time, and you can definitely use a time zone converter if you're not in the if you don't use the Eastern time to see what time frame each session occurs. But right, so we start off with the Sydney session, then we get into the Tokyo session, then the London, and then the New York session. Now, something that I do want to note is the fact that you have session overlaps, right? So here you can see we have an overlap with the Tokyo session and the London session. And then here you can see we have an overlap with the London session and New York session. And the reason that I want to, direct some attention to these overlaps is because you'll notice that these are when, you have a huge amount of market participants, right? People from different parts of the world are waking up and they're starting to get involved with the market. So this leads to volatility and higher liquidity and quote unquote some more opportunity. But that's something that I'll talk about more when I talk about, if there is an ideal time to be trading Forex. But, the London session is fairly volatile. New York session is fairly volatile, but you'll see the most volatility within those session overlaps. Now here you'll see that there is a overlap between the Sydney session and the Tokyo session, but the reason why I didn't direct as much attention to that is because it's a fairly slow market. Even with that overlap, there you won't see a whole lot of movement unless maybe you're trading the Aussie dollar or the New Zealand dollar or the Japanese yen. But in terms of volatility, you'll see the most movements, you'll see the most playouts happening during the London session and New York session, and especially during that overlap. All right, so this leads me to my question of whether or not there is a best time to be trading Forex And my answer to that is that it depends, right? It depends on one, what type of trader you are. And so what I mean by that is the fact that, you have some people that are scalpers. And a scalper is basically just somebody who is looking to get in and out of the market very quickly, right? They look for short-term moves, maybe that might happen across the time frame of 30 minutes to an hour, but the whole point is that they're in the market very quickly and then they're out. So for a scalper, it's probably ideal to be trading during a very volatile point in time, right? That's where price will be moving very quickly. So your move could probably play out during the time that you want to be trading, right? But if you're a swing trader, and a swing trader is basically somebody that is looking for longer term moves within the market, right? They may be holding a trade for days to even a couple of weeks. So the session at which they're trading, or the volatility of a point at which they're trading may not matter as much, because they're holding a trade through all of the different sessions, going into different days, going into different weeks. So it doesn't matter as much as when they execute as it may for a scalper. And then in terms of the best time to trade for somebody, it's also going to depend on what you are trading, right? So if you're trading the British pound, US dollar, then and you're a scalper, then the best session to be trading is probably during the London session or the New York session, or especially during that overlap where there's going to be a huge amount of volatility, right? So it's going to depend on what type of trader you are and the different types of currency pairs that you trade that may correlate to a particular session in terms of volatility. All right, so with that, that is the lesson on the best time to trade Forex. Thank you guys for tuning in. And if you appreciate this type of content, definitely leave a like down below, as well as comment a topic that you do want to see covered in these lessons. And definitely do not forget to subscribe for future content like this. All right, so with that, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will check back with you guys very soon. Peace.